ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ಎಲ್ಲ ಶೈಕ್ಷಣಿಕ ವಲಯದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂತ ಮತ್ತು ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ರಂಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಇರುವವರು ಮತ್ತು ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ರಂಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂತ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಈ ಒಂದು ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಸೆಮಿನಾರ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವೇನು ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಸೆಮಿನಾರ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಅದರ ಮುಂದುವರೆದ ಭಾಗವಾಗಿ ಈ ಒಂದು COVID-19 ಶಾಲೆಗಳನ್ನ, ಅದು ಒಂದು ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಶಾಲೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮುಚ್ಚಿರುವ ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಜೊತೆ ಕಲಿಕೆಯನ್ನ ಉತ್ತಮಪಡಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇರುವ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳು ಯಾವ್ದ್ಯಾವ್ದು, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಜೊತೆ ಕಲಿಕೆಗಾಗಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಜೊತೆ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ಸೇರ್ಬಹುದು, ಈ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನೇ ನಾವು ಬಹುತೇಕ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕುರಿತು ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ದಿವಸದಿಂದ. ಇವತ್ತು ಆ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದಷ್ಟು ನಮ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಸಿ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣನ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಪರಿಚಿತ ವಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು CR ಅಂತಾನೆ ಪರಿಚಿತರಾದವರು. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ CR ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ಇವತ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. CRದು ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯನ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಅವರು ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ತಜ್ಞರು ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅವರು ಒಂಥರ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಷನಿಂಗ್ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಷಿಯನ್. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ ಅನುಭವಗಳ ಜೊತೆನಲ್ಲೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣದ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ವಿಷಯಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣದ, ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಕೇರಳದ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಮೂಲಾಗ್ರ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗಳನ್ನ, ಸುಧಾರಣೆಗಳನ್ನ ತರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದಂತ ಗುಂಪಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ CR ಕೂಡ ಒಬ್ರು. ಅವರಿವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಸೆಮಿನಾರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಅದೃಷ್ಟ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ CR ಅವರು ಅಖಿಲ ಭಾರತ ಜ್ಞಾನ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಸಮಿತಿಯ ಅಖಿಲ ಭಾರತ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರು ಹಾಗೂ ಕೇರಳ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಒಂದು ಸಮಿತಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಆ ಸಮಿತಿಯ ಸಲಹೆಗಾರರು ಕೂಡ ಹೌದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಭಾರತ ಜ್ಞಾನ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಸಮಿತಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ CR ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಈ ಒಂದು ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಸೆಮಿನಾರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿರುವಂತೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರ ಪರವಾಗಿ, ಶಿಕ್ಷಣಾಸಕ್ತರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನ ಬಯಸುತ್ತೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ CR ಅವರು ಈಗ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲಿಕೆಗೆ ಇರುವ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಸವಾಲುಗಳು, ಈ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನ ಕುರಿತು ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಅನಿಸಿಕೆಗಳನ್ನ, ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯಗಳನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ತಮ್ಮ ಮಾರ್ಗೋಪಾಯಗಳನ್ನ, ಅವ್ರು ಕಂಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುವಂತ ಮಾರ್ಗೋಪಾಯಗಳನ್ನ ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ಹಂಚ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಐ ಇನ್ವೈಟ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ CR ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಓವರ್ ದ ಸೆಷನ್ ಟು ಟಾಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಪಾಸಿಬಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ challenges during COVID-19 pandemic period, especially on the basis of Kerala's experience and experiments. He can suggest us to go ahead with this situation. Welcome, CR.
Okay, എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം. As all of us know that this COVID-19, the small RNA, because of this small RNA virus, it actually, this COVID-19 emerged as a health issue in the initial phase. Then slowly it is converted into, slowly it is transformed into a very comprehensive issue of the human life itself. And when it is converted into an issue of a comprehensive issue, then of course it will become an issue of education, especially that of younger children. So we can discuss more about it. Nobody knows how to address, but even then we can collectively inquire what is the way out. Because when we plan for this, we have to look various factors of that locality. Then only we can we can plan how to address this situation and help the children a little bit. Around the world is facing an unprecedented, and because of this massive school closures, lockdowns, physical distancing, new words are actually evolving, emerging day by day, and obligations to keep the announced protocol and the loss of familiar environment as far as students are concerned. When I am talking about students, it is up to higher secondary level, up to 18 years of age. The restriction of movement, denial for coming together or gathering and playing, chatting with peace, which is a natural urge of children. Not only urge, the need it is a must also, a need also. And the disruption of routines, curtailment of social interactions, and deprivation, these all led to increased pressure, stress, and anxiety for the children. For me, these are most important. Because of all these things, usually it actually created some kind of a pressure, stress, and anxiety. The children and their families and communities. Hence, COVID may become an issue, not an economic issue for a family and the state. Okay. Then, what I told that now it is an issue. For us, it is a social issue and it is an economic issue. Apart from that, it is basically an educational issue for we people, because we are actually educational activists. So we have to have our own concern. We can discuss regarding the educational thing at this juncture. And as I told you, many students are concerned about their education because not now. Now it is decided. Their examinations are cancelled or deferred halfway, and the insecurity of isolation and uncertainty. These are all causes for this pressure, stress, and anxiety. And apart from that, the spirited information, different kind of informations. Nobody knows which is right and which is what is right and what is wrong. That kind of that information through print media, through electronic media, through these social media. These are all fueled, help to fuel some kind of fueled for this, and also this sensationalist media reporting, which includes all the medias. This all created some kind of a stress or some kind of a concern, basically anxiety among the students. And because all these kind of a thing, an environment of fear is a reality, not only in our place, throughout the world. An environment of fear is a reality. And every day, now recently every day, the increasing number of COVID-19 positives and the increasing number of deaths, even in developed countries, actually contributed to the fear factor of the community. It has its own impact on the children also. Due to this pandemic and subsequently lockdown, the direct and significant threat has come to all citizens of India, as well as the person working in the unorganized sector. The basic issue is the issue of survival. That is the main issue. An issue of survival. Food is an issue in many places. And our children are actually seeing and hearing all these kind of information. They are getting all this. They are seeing actually through any kind of media. They are actually seeing and the pathetic condition of these migrant laborers, and they are to go to their native place, and there is no facilities, and they decided to walk. All these kind of things. So these are all have its own impact on the mind of the children. It all influenced actually the children, and if some kind of a disease happens, then the deficit of these medical facilities, proper medical facilities were not there. Enough medical facilities are not there in many of the places, even in the villages or even in the townships. So the issue of survival, food, shelter, livelihood, mobility, safety, security, medical, and displacement, and this addressing the financial, social, psychological, and emotional need of people. These are all actually function realities in the society, and throughout the world, discussions are happening regarding that. We have to, in this context, we have discussed many things. One, the longer the children stay out of school, the less likely they are to ever return. That is also a fact. And also issues having long-term impacts or threats such as rising inequality. Always this kind of pandemic and this kind of a situation will actually increase inequality. Poor health outcomes because of the lack of proper food actually. For many of our children in India, midday meal is one of the lifeline for the children. And they are not getting that. Violence, child labor, child marriages. These are the issues that the people are working in the field of education all over the world are having their own concern regarding these kind of issues. We have to look at our surrounding also through these all factors. In many places, children are often rely on schools for their only meal of the day. But with the schools now closed because of the pandemic, children are missing out of these nutritious meals, which are basically in many places the only food. It is a reality even in India. So why I am actually flagging these kind of things? What next? What we have to do after these kind of discussions? So what is our plan? In our plan, we have to look all these. There should be a space for all these components. That is what I feel. School must look at how they can reopen better throughout the countries. There are, in many places, schools are already opened, and in some places they started from the pre-schooling, before the school, this formal schooling. They actually started. In many countries, there is pre-schools. They already started, and the lower primary sections they have already started in some countries, and in some countries they started from the secondary, higher secondary classes, and they are not allowing the lower primary students, that age group, to come out of their houses. So various experiences are there throughout the country, and our central government has already decided that up to July 31st, they won't allow to open any school here in India. So we have to look the world experiences. We have to look, see and try to understand what is happening all over the world. And if we want to address the educational challenges, because these pandemics and these kind of situations may help us to inquire new pathways. There are possibilities also, how to explore, find out the possibilities within the limitation. That is the basic challenge for people like us. What are the difficulties are the realities, but within that reality, what we can do, that we have to seriously think about that. What we can do in this kind of a situation. We have to keep in mind that there are possibilities for health emergencies and natural calamities which may enforce school closures in future also, because we don't know when. If the school opened in South Korea, the school opened and the next day the government decided to close. So these kind of opening closure, this interrupted school year, academic year, we have to see in the coming future. In order to address these kind of unprecedented situation, by ensuring inclusiveness, that is most important. Inclusiveness. I am once again repeating, it is ensuring inclusiveness, that is the challenge. And equity. These kind of pandemics always neglect the marginalized community. So we must be very clear that in our plan, when we develop our own plan, we should ensure inclusiveness and equity. And for that, we must have our own policy perspective. How we are going to address these kind of situation. We must have our own policy perspective regarding for addressing these kind of a situation. And what are our reform strategies? We have to develop our own strategies based on our policy perspective. And at the same time, we have to develop guidelines for safety and security norms. That is non-negotiable because here human beings are the carriers. So there is no other way out. So what are the guidelines for safety and security norms? Keeping this safety and security, it is most important because day by day, the COVID positive is actually increasing. And what are the content and strategies for supporting learning? It is supporting learning. What are the content and strategies for supporting learning? We have to fix that. At the same time, the wellness and protection, including safety and security that I have mentioned, reaching the most marginalized. What are our strategy for reaching the most marginalized? That is the basic challenge. So once the school begin to reopen, that also we have to envisage. The priority, of course, will become reintegrating students into school settings safely by keeping the health protocol. Because for the last so many months, the mindset of the child is not for, I don't know, it won't actually fit in for the school environment. It will take some time. Students will quickly cope up with that, but even then, it will take some time to cope up with the school environment, because in the house it is in an isolated way. It's some kind of a house arrest actually for many people, especially in the township, etc. It is a kind of house arrest. So it is not so easy. Then what are our strategy to help the child to release the psychostigma and all these kind of things? How we can help the child to cope up with the school situation by keeping all the health protocol. And how are we going to help the child to bridge what they have already learned? Of course, many of the children, because of many reasons, they need some kind of an experience to recall all these kind of things. So, what is our plan? That is one kind of a bridging is needed for that. Without some kind of a bridging, the majority can't enter into the learning process. It is. What is our plan for that? So, in the present, but all these things, on one hand, when the school, if the COVID allows us to open our school and start the academic year, then what is our plan for that? We have to prepare for that at this juncture. This juncture, what we can do? In the period of COVID, what we can do, and in the immediately after COVID, what we can do. I am not speaking about a long-term thing. I am not speaking about the long-term thing. I am speaking about only the present and the near present, the future, near future actually. It is a future. I don't know whether I can tell it as a future also. So the coming in the, it is a very, how to address the crisis actually. Even after post-COVID, the initial phase of post-COVID also, it is a period of crisis, especially for the learning process. So in the present context, some kind of an engagement, that is according to us, our experience here, some kind of a support is needed to the children. Why? Because usually after reaching 5, after enrolling in class 1, the students are the most of their actual time they are spending in schools, and after that they will play for something, and they all usually have in their houses for not that much of time. In that period, they have their own interaction with their family members. Now it is not like that. Now parents are actually started going, but for the last few months, they are spending, the only people they are seeing is their parents. Actually, they are fed up with the parents because of 2 reasons. I don't know. Your Karnataka situation, I don't know. Because in Kerala, there is middle class families, and 50% of the families are these middle class and upper class. And the basic class, it is near to the middle class. There always the aspirations of the parents on one hand. Secondly, always they are actually hearing, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, or negation, whatever the child want to do, it is actually objected by the parents. So from that, they want some kind of a different situation where they will get some kind of a freedom. They can work, they can engage. I am using the term engaging actually. They can engage very creatively. So the basic question is that how can we help the child, or how can we engage the child? And if we can do that, it will be a support to the child to address the stress, strain, and anxiety factor. In these difficult days, how we are going to engage the child? This is the one thing. And there is a need also. There is a need. And I'll tell, first I will put the question and how we are addressing this in the later. After this, I'll give our experience. And in the containment zone, etc., there will be some restrictions, and other zones, because we can't plan in a state. The state-wise planning, I don't think that it will work. Only locally specific planning is needed. We can have a state-wise frame, but the micro planning should be done by looking the objective situation of each and every locality. So that locally specific plans are also needed by looking the state wise or whichever wise, district wise or whichever wise broader frame. And here we decided to support the child because of this. Our family, our habitation is very spread in Kerala. Micro family is very dominant. Father, mother, and the children are only in many houses. They are only there. And what I told earlier, that in the early periods of this lockdown, nobody is allowed to go out So the interactions, positive things are also there. The father, mother, children, their interaction actually, they got a good experience also, not only bad, good experience also. Each and every child they got in many places in the marginalized sections, socially and economically backward sections. They were not sure whether they will get a food the next day. But in Kerala, the government actually gave word to them that the system will provide food. But whatever happened, the system will provide food. That kind of assurance was there. So now people are started going to work. In many houses, only children are only there in their houses. That is also a major issue at this juncture in our places because of the after this 1957 the land reforms. Because of land reforms, each and every family have their own land and their own property, and they actually build some kind of a residence there. So it is spread, and these micro family things are actually very dominant here. And the positive thing in Kerala, I think in many parts of Karnataka also there might be. We have enough and more community spaces actually, secular spaces. We have enough secular spaces like libraries, and many that kind of places are there in Kerala. So the question comes whether we can make use of these kind of secular spaces, community spaces to engage the children. That was the one question that has actually emerged in our discussions by keeping all the COVID protocols. And then we discuss about how can we support the children to provide this some kind of nutritious food, that is the midday food. During the vacation, summer vacations in the April and May, that time, for pre-primary schools through Anganwadis, we have supplied this not cooked materials, uncooked materials, that grain and the groceries, etc., etc. We have actually provided through Anganwadis. That we have. Next week onwards, we are actually going to provide these things to those schools also, to those school children. And how can we provide some kind of an emotional support to the children? And also, how to provide some kind of an educational support. For engagement, some kind of a material is needed, some kind of a materials enabling for some kind of an engagement or leading to joyful activities. With the support of teachers, is it possible? That in our discussion, we have actually addressed these points. And what we decide that from the reports, etc., after analyzing the report, we decided that we have to provide some kind of a support. We have to engage the children. For that, our option, the options are very limited. So our options here, we can have the government, the education department have a 24-hour channel for us. It is known as Victors. It is a government channel. It is controlled by the government, controlled by education department. We have a 24-hour channel. We have, and we have a very strong voluntary army support. I don't know whether you know, in every panchayat we have a team comprising 200 volunteers in between 22 and 40. And in municipalities it is 500, and in corporations it is 750 members are there. So there is a human resource is there for supporting these kind of anything there. And Kudumbasri is also a very good social network. It is a social network. That social infrastructure is there. Kudumbasri is there. and retired personals, because as you know, Kerala is the average age is above 50 actually. Old people because they will live up to 80. So that human resource is also there. By utilizing all these resources, these are all educated resources. We have our own plan to engage the children. Of course, we can't engage the children, not that we are engaging in the school as teachers. The limitations always will be there. So these are the issues that actually emerged to find out. And as a part of that, we decided, different opinions are still there within ourselves, how to engage the children. That some kind of support can be a common string is needed for that. Otherwise, people won't come together. For that, we utilize our channel. From this Anganwadi children to +2 children, we are actually providing some kind of a program through. We are calling it as online. It is not online. Online is entirely different, but we demystified online. We actually redefined all. Society's understanding regarding online is totally changed because our methodology is basically a broadcasting mode. It is a remote learning technique actually. It is not an online thing, but we call this broadcasting mode as online. Otherwise, nothing to do with the online actually. But for the time being, we are calling it as online classes actually through Victor's channel. By using the channel Victor's, we are actually using that. But before going to this kind of a digital mode, we have to ensure wherever in the as a part of a science movement, we are very particular about 4 major aspects. That is one. Earlier I told that inclusiveness and equity, these 2 are non-negotiables. These are non-negotiable. That are the basic fundamental principle actually, this inclusiveness and equity. For that, we have to look the technological preparedness. Are we technologically prepared for this kind of a digital thing? That we have to look ourselves. Secondly, are we ready with the content part? Because usually as teachers, many of you are teachers, because teachers, the present curriculum, textbook, everything is actually developed with an understanding that there is a teacher in front of the students. For teacher and students, there are a teacher and students are there. I don't bother whether in front of the teacher there is no students. I don't bother. My concern is that there is a teacher in front of the students. Students have that confidence that I have a teacher there. So the content that we have prepared is based on that understanding. But in the broadcasting mode, there is nobody in front of the student. So that while analyzing, are we prepared for the content, we have to look this aspect also. Then not only content, the pedagogical side only. And we have to look the pedagogical preparedness also. So one, technological preparedness, second, content preparedness, third, pedagogical preparedness, and then comes the monitoring and evaluation preparedness. No, evaluation means not examination. Beware of that. Whenever we are speaking about evaluation, immediately the exam will come. It is not examination. The program evaluation. I am talking about the program evaluation, not the evaluation of each and every child. No. And what is the method of monitoring, and how can we evaluate the program? For that, we should have a clear plan. If we are going for that, this digital mode, even there is no digital mode also at this juncture, in a situation when schools are not in a position to function normally, we have to find for a new normal. COVID is actually forcing us to try for a new normal. What is that new normal? Because regular schooling is not, I don't think that it won't happen very shortly. So in one way or in another way, we have to have new strategies and new understanding to address this issue. So here we are here using this digital platform to engage the children. That is why I am actually talking about that. For that, first we try to ensure for inclusiveness and equity, we have to ensure if we go with this mode, can the system reach each and every child? For that, Samagra Shiksha conducted a survey. They have done a survey, and in the survey we locate that 261,000 children don't have any kind of facility. 2 lakh. It is 6% of our child population. 6% of the child population. So we have to address that issue. But that number also increased because when the survey has done, all the parents were there in houses. But when the lockdown, some kind of an opening happened because they will go for job. So the number will, of course, increase. That also, we actually kept that also in our mind. Then, whether the system have the efficiency to develop episodes or materials for broadcasting. So there is one, it is a social thing. The other is the intrinsic factor. One is whether each and every child will get this opportunity to have experience what the telecast. And secondly, whether the system can develop materials. That is a challenge actually. That is a Herculean challenge. It is not a simple one. It is a very Herculean challenge. But we decided that we can try for that. And when the government, when the chief minister appealed the people that this is the reality, because some kind of an engagement is needed for the child. It is not teaching. Some kind of an engagement is needed for the children. For that, we have these possibilities. Because in Kerala, this technology is not a new one to the children. From 8th standard onwards, this ICT is part of the actual discourse, learning process. And in all primary schools, we have computer lab also. So each and every child, they have some experience with this gadget. So this is not new. That is one positive factor as far as Kerala is concerned. That is not the case all over India. So that factor is there. So it is not new for anybody. And secondly, the teachers as well as parents, they also know some fundamentals of how to operate these kind of things, because through the parental meeting, etc., the teachers and the parents, they are regularly, not regularly, but occasionally they have some kind of an interaction through this media. So this media is not new. So, but the thing is that we have to ensure that 2.61 lakh children will also come under this umbrella of this program. When the government appealed to the people that this is the case, if we can support this, if we can help this, if the community can help the people, help the students, then it will be an experience, a Kerala experience that we can put in front of an entire world. Then when this announcement came, cut across the political differences, everything, people actually help the system, not help that section. They started. Now in Kerala, you can't get even a TV. This mobile set, you won't get the TV. You won't get, because everybody come forward to help the people. This section, and somebody gone to the court also. The court is also monitored this regarding that, and we ensure that each and every student will come. There is facility for each and every child to see the classes or whichever the presentation. So we have ensured. And in that kind of a places, we actually, the government, enough circulars, government orders, everything we have, there are there through advisories, everything is there. And we ask the people that we have libraries there. No child can have to walk more than 200 meters to reach a common place. Even in remote area, there are places. One kind of or another kind of places are there. And Kudumbasri can also have their own meeting spaces in many parts. So ensure that one TV will be installed in that common place, and fight to because the classes are only this broadcasting is only for 30 minutes, not more than that. It is for one class, it is 30 minutes. For an LP child, it is only 30 minutes session in one day, one whole day, not more than 30, not all subjects, no, only 30 minutes for one age group. When it comes to the high school, 10th standard, it is 1 hour and 1.5 hour for +1 students. Otherwise, it is 22. Class 1, it is 22 minutes actually. 22, 25. It is 20 to 25 minutes actually for a day. So, not more than 5 or 6 children at a time in one common center. And one caregiver. Anybody in that community should be there to not teach the child. I am again and again telling that it is not teaching. It is actually giving some kind of a confidence to the children that they can see the classes or whatever thing happens. And any kind of help is needed, she or he can interact with who is the caregiver there. So this is how it is actually planned. So almost all, even in remote area, also we ensured this gadget. Now for detail. For that, we have one kite. Kite is an agency. Kite is actually getting technological thing, and kite is actually this Victor's channel. It is under kite actually. So that station is doing by kite, and the academic coordination by SCRT. And SSA is also part of this, developing this material. And different agency, SIT, State Institute of Education Technology, is also there. So, and the education department is actually broadly coordinating all these efforts. So all the agencies come together and ensure that these materials are actually, and some kind of a vetting is also taking place, because SCRT is the sort of authority for that. So So this is how we are addressed. This is our technological preparedness. This is how we are preparing ourselves technologically. Then the content readiness. It is an issue still now, because as I told earlier that the textbooks are familiar to the family. Textbooks are the only thing that the parents and the children can understand. They are familiar with the textbook, but that textbooks are actually envisaged into transaction of the textbook. Someone teacher is needed. But without how to link the textbook and how the content, it is basically a challenge. And many students can't understand it so easily, because each and every child have its own learning pace. The learning pace of children are vary from child to child. That is the principle. But here there is no scope for that. The parent can't understand that. There is no other person. The child can't have any discourse with any dialogue with the other child. There is no possibility, because learning actually occurring, this construction of the knowledge occur only in a school environment. Therefore, and some kind of an environment is needed, because here we can transact or disseminate the content, information. Education is not disseminating the informations. No. There some kind of a cognition happened only cognition happened when some kind of an emotional and social support the child can get. These two other factors also. So this along with cognition, this emotional development and social development is most important. That is not possible at this juncture. So this is the difficulty that we are actually facing for content readiness. But even then, there is no other way also. So we are actually trying slowly bringing the child away from the textbook. It will take some more time. Now we want to place things in a thematic way. Then only the child can understand. Otherwise, when we actually introduce a concept, the child wants some kind of a previous knowledge about that. In a classroom, by reading the face of the child, the teacher can understand whether the child is following or not. Through this broadcasting mode, it is not possible. So here comes the difficulty. Here we are actually facing the difficulty, but slowly we want to take the children out of the textbook. Initially, we actually use textbook because it is familiar to the children. Slowly, we want to take the child away from the textbook and place in the thematic context. If it is a thematic context, the presenter will also get some kind of a freedom that is actually needed. So, and pedagogical readiness also. Pedagogy also is a challenge, because we don't have this kind of a previous experience. This is a collective inquiry. We are actually doing some kind of a collective inquiry by which we can understand, we can experiment, and we can reach somewhere near. So, and what is the speciality, if you ask, is the monitoring part. That is something different here. We are actually, when the classes are over, the government requested the teachers. It is not ordering. It is requested teachers to follow up it up through WhatsApp groups or whichever way. In many places, the teachers are actually going to the children's in one common place where 4 or 5 children can come together. They can go there once in a week, or because for lower primary section it is possible, because the children are coming from that habitat only. So it is very easy. For secondary and higher secondary, we have our own difficulty. But by in a small group in the community, the library, if the teachers are there and if people are there, the students are there, the teacher can go and have some kind of a thing. And we are now trying to develop some kind of a worksheet. Worksheet is not a worksheet that based on in that kind of an understanding. Worksheet is not in that way, because worksheet in a classroom a teacher is there, so here there is nobody, and people have the good old way of learning. Because of their life experience, they will start teaching the child. Then it will become it will become a very difficult thing for the child, and usually it will become a very unpleasant thing for a child. So we are a self-explanatory worksheet. We are in the process. So this is also it is not so easy. We have developed two we actually we are not satisfied, so not yet circulated, and in the next week the first set of worksheet will go, because that kind of within a worksheet, then it is easier for the child to be there in the learning path. I am using the terminology the learning path. We want to put the child always in the learning path. We don't know when the regular thing happens. Till then, if this academic year, for the whole academic year, if you want to do this exercise, we want to ensure that the child is in the learning path. Whether the child is learning or not, it is immaterial. But for that, the challenge is that how to ensure that the child is always the learning path, providing some kind of a support by exciting the child in one way or the other. For that, the teachers are doing their best. In many places, new things are actually, creative things are actually emerging actually. So there is this is how we are actually doing the monitoring thing. And the system evaluation is that we are actually getting feedback regularly from teachers. Now there is not an impact study. It is not time for doing any kind of that kind of a study, because now for the children, we don't know how far the children will sit in front of the TV. Because if the presentations are boring, then immediately the child will, because the remote is there in the hand of the child, it will go to some other channel. It is natural. We can't blame the child, because so these are the things. So I once again repeat that we evaluate our technological preparedness, then this content preparedness, and the pedagogical preparedness, and this monitoring and evaluation preparedness. For that, the access side, we ensure, with the support of the community, we ensure that each and every child, sometimes some rare cases may be there. Till today, if all these newspaper, all the club, they have TV with them. If any news come in any media, the next day people will go with that TV and give in that way. So that kind of a social vigilance is there. By using these positive factors, we are actually addressing this kind of a thing. And finally, then after the discussion, I'll respond. Now the question is actually emerging. If you look the NCERT things, the NCERT kind of things, they have actually published some curricular or some activity things. Next week we have the curriculum committee. We don't know which kind of decisions that we take at this juncture. We don't know how the schools are going to open. Then how can we decide 25% of the curriculum or the syllabus that we can cut? How can we take the decision? Nobody knows how things will happen. And only for people like me, I am arguing that the difficulty is only for 10th standard, 11th standard, and 12th standard, because public exams are there. For 11th standard also, leave it. Public exams are there, because the parents are much and the students are concerned about that. We are living in a world where exams determine everything. That's why. Otherwise, these are nonsense actually. But we can't ignore the people's mindset. So we have to look that only. For all the other class, for a child of class 1, we are getting 10 years, 9 years for all the things. For 8th, we are actually getting 9th and 10th. For 9th, we are actually getting the 10th is there. So whatever concept, if we do the concept mapping, then it is easier to decide. Otherwise, mechanically cutting this chapter, it is unscientific. I won't support that. But if you map the concept and ensure that for this previous knowledge, this concept is needed for developing, for understanding this concept, we can't eliminate that concept in the earlier classes. So we have to do the concept mapping, and we can decide that this bunch of concepts, for the time being, we can eliminate or not cutting the portions. It is unscientific, actually. It is unscientific. Portions are actually, these kind of classifications are actually for making teaching learning easier. That's all. But the concepts, integrating the concepts and understanding the mutual relationship of concepts, otherwise it will become tedious for the child. So it needs more scrutiny, more understanding, more. We want more time to decide for that. Otherwise, what will happen? Mechanical limiting the curricular syllabus won't help the child actually. It will create some kind of difficulties. It will increase the burden of the child for learning that concept, for the concept. So we are actually getting, except 10th, 11th and 12th, because of this public examination, we have time actually. Why? We don't know when we can start the normal schooling. If we know the normal, if Corona says that, okay, I will go from India from August 15th onwards, then we can plan after August 15th. Nobody knows that. Now all the predictions says that it will deteriorate. More and more COVID patients will emerge actually during that period. So the next week we are actually having our curricular committee, and we will decide. So finally, what I feel, wherever in India, these are my suggestions for discussion. The decisions that you have to take based on the objective situation of the locality. Nobody in the world can prescribe anything at this juncture. Nobody in the world can prescribe. No officer, nobody in the world can prescribe. At this juncture, our experience, our knowledge, our ability, how to consolidate that ability, these kind of things locally, that is most important. Especially for lower primary students, these are most important. I think some kind of an engagement is needed. By keeping the protocol, how can we do that engagement? If I don't know, in Karnataka, if we have community spaces which is secular, that is underlined, secular. If at a time, if 4 or 5 children come of the same age group, or in you have multi-level teaching places also there, we can have some kind of we can do some help the child, providing some kind of joyful experiences for the child, not teaching textbook. No, provide some kind of engagement is needed for the child. What is our plan for that? And we can make use of the local human resources, not by ourselves. It is not possible. We can make use of the local resources. There, BGVS have a role, mobilizing local resources, because it is providing the child joyful experiences, not teaching. For teaching, teachers are not needed. For providing some kind of a joyful experiences, those who are interested in that, in doing that, we can make use of that with the help of. But a teacher should be a key role in that, because we want to keep the child in the learning path. Because some kind of an age-appropriate treatment is needed for the child. Always, this joy means it is not a balmela. actually. It is not a Balmela. Joyful learning is not Balamela type. Balmela, it is a collective thing, but there is no scope for that collective thing at this juncture. So, how to, with the help of the teacher, by keeping the teacher in the center of this program, how we can develop materials and how we can execute that materials to help the child, to engage the child, to address the psycho factor of the child. Some kind of a psychosocial treatment is needed for the child. How are we going to do that? In the process, we can help the child to understand something. He or she can create some knowledge also in the process. So, what is the way out for that? That is a need of that. There is a need. There is a need. So how are we going for that? How this collective? This is a collective actually. How this collective can take the leadership for developing that kind of a thing? In Canada, you have decided that no, this kind of a broadcasting kind of an online this business for up to 7. It is good. I am basically, if we address each and every child, it is the best way. Otherwise, it will increase discrimination. All these kind of situation always increase discrimination. Beware of that. We can't do that. That's why I am saying that some kind of a joyful environment. Then each and we can address each and every child. So that is one. And forget about the school exam. For the next time, you don't ask questions regarding school examination, etc. We don't know whether COVID will allow us or not. Nobody knows that. So, at this juncture, address the mental psycho need of the child, what we can do. And whether if it is possible to develop a concept map and a concept map like things, that also will help you when the schools become normal. That will, there your expertise will help the system. If you develop a concept map and from class 1 to hello.
Yeah, we are hearing.
Hearing, okay. From class 1 to 12th, if you prepare some kind of, that material will be very precious, not all this for this COVID period, for your curricular revision and everything. That material will help you a lot. So what is our way to develop that kind of and clustering the concepts in one way or in another way? How to cluster the concept, and this also we have to look. And thirdly, how to develop that kind of a strategy at this juncture. What are your strategy to train the caregivers? If we decide that we can engage in some area, then we must have to develop the material for the caregivers. Otherwise, they will the center immediately it will convert into a tuition center. That will kill the whole attempt. It is not these community centers. It is not replacing the school. No, it is not a tuition center. It is also no. So, how to develop materials for their caregivers, and how to train them by using these kind of a modes. How are you giving some kind of an orientation, not training actually, some kind of an orientation for the caregivers. And finally, how to talk with the parents, because they have also, of course, in the process we have to take into confidence the teaching community, no doubt, but speaking to parents, it is also very important. Now, all over the country, cut across any society, they are actually, their aspiration towards education, we have to address. So these are the things what I am actually these are the issues that we are actually addressing here in Kerala. These are the through this keeping all these things, we are actually addressing these kind of things. In between, we have done the examinations because for the middle class, examinations are more important than learning. So we have done that. So I'll respond to the questions or any queries, suggestions